Hello, and welcome to Lemmings versus Disconnection in the quarterfinal of the Elite Invite. Apologies for getting a bit seasick there. We're just adjusting the camera ahead of this game. Lemmings and Disconnection have had two pretty different tournaments so far. Disconnection coming from the very tough Pool A. They had 1 win and 2 losses. Beat Tartu Turbulence 15-8 in their final game, but lost to Deep Space 15-10 and to Sescadistas from France 15-11. Disconnection, one of the top teams in Europe last year, but lost their quarterfinal at EUCS to Manchot, and something of a surprise. And then Lemmings have had 2 wins and a loss. Beat Manchot 13-11, and also beat Reading 14-9, but lost to Nulat 15-13. But despite that, they came second in that pool, so it's second in one pool against third in another. You can probably hear the wind has picked up a little, and we had the first turnover of the game, quickly followed by the second turnover of the game. Lemmings coming out on offense. The first throw, not quite on point, but Disconnection trying to get it going as quickly as possible and gave it right back. So it's Wilson with the disc to Katma, trying to avoid a repeat of that disc bouncing over Katma's head. Katma doesn't like that reset option. Comes instead to Wong, and Wong to Wilson. And that's a good first point for Lemmings. They in this semi-final. So as I said, these two teams, different path here. Leamington Lemmings, team from the UK, from Leamington, which is in the Midlands. A pretty young team. Nate Sanders, one of the leaders of the team, has been doing a good job bringing a lot of the players from local schools into the team. And they've been building that program for many years now. A lot of good young players who've really come through and made a big difference to the outlook of the team. It used to be that Lemmings were a solid team that would battle kind of lower down in the standings. Then they had a little boost, a little renaissance, and they started competing in quarter and semi-finals. And last year, really broke through, reached EUCF, I think for the second or third time in a row, reached the UK Nationals final. And now they are building towards WUC in a few years with the aim of hopefully qualifying for the first time and then competing wherever that tournament ends up being. As we see Lemmings pull to Disconnection. So Disconnection with the disc. Moving it downfield nicely. Forster with the disc. Looking for a reset option. Everything's marked out pretty well. But in the end, that force just moving over offers a nice break force opportunity. And now Disconnection have got a bit of momentum. And they run it all the way through into the end zone. Nice offense from the Germans. And it is 1-1. 2 holds to start the game. So Disconnection, as I said, had a good season last year. A lot of very talented players on this team. Players who played for Germany. Players who are playing for Germany this year as well. Forster, who was one of the main handlers on that point, will be going to Australia with the women's team, I believe. The Disconnection, as I say, they were one of the best teams around last year. Lost a close game to Manchot in the final of EUCF, but up to that point, they've been making finals and semi-finals of pretty much every tournament. Had a good showing in Elite Invite last year. They were able to qualify for the final, I believe, where Reading beat them 14-11 at the Elite Invite last season. So they're looking for a chance to go one better here. Lemmings back out on offense, starting a kind of split stack. Not many options downfield. Disconnection doing a good job of limiting them. There's a deep option there, and that deep option's taken. It looks too flat to me. Yeah, that's just going to trail away, and that is going to be a turnover, and Disconnection with another opportunity to play offense on the D-line. Team from Freiburg. Disconnection also starting out in a horizontal. Both teams favouring that horizontal setup, open up the deep space. And a nice break to get off the line from Disconnection. Deep shots there, and it's taken. Looks like a good shot. Great catch. Really came back to the disc and took it ahead of the defender from Lemmings. They're just looking for an option now, Disconnection, but again, Lemmings will shut things down. There's an open reset if needed, but instead of taking that open reset, takes the tough around shot, and the around shot is reeled in. Looked like he'd stayed with that too long. That must have been a very, very high stall count. But in the end, it doesn't matter because Disconnection notched the first break of the game. Philipp Haas to Philipp Kitchen. And it is 2-1 to the German team. Fantastic catch from Philipp Haas off that hook. It's one of Lemmings' tallest players in the vicinity there. But Haas had the perfect read the whole way in, and Ben Andrews couldn't get his hand in to knock it away. So Lemmings broken for the first time in this game. They trail 2-1. They're calling on a slightly different line this time to try and reset and get back on track. It's the first time at the elite invite for Lemmings. It's only the second time I suppose we've had the elite invite in this current form, but still, they've not qualified for this before, so big step for them as a club. Daly keeps that disc moving. It's Katmer again. Davis to Edwards. Edwards back on the disc. Centers to Daly. Kind of a zone look by the Germans here with three people flat across the front. Wilson moves it to Davis. Back to Wilson. Wilson with a beautifully judged throw to Katmer. That looked to me as though he was straddling the line. That is the call. Katmer fakes the offhand backhand. The lefty with the disc in hand. In the end, that's a fairly easy throw over the top. And that is a good hold for Lemmings. First time they've seen that zone from Disconnection. Evie Harms in the end zone to catch it. And that hold puts the score at 2-2. But Disconnection with that potentially very important early break. So it's female matching point now. Two teams. Both look pretty deep to me. There's only a couple of players in it. So there shouldn't be any issues with having to play four of one gender or the other, as you would expect at this level. Team's well used to it at this point. Those of you who may not be as au fait with the rules of mixed, teams have to play 4 players of one match gender or the other. There's 7 players, so it's 4 and 3. It'll be 2 of one match gender and then 2 points of another. So this is a female matching point, so there'll be 4 female matching players on the field from each team. So the pull comes up from Lemmings. That's going to be Förster on the German women's team this year. She was on the mixed team last year. back to pick it up, but she instead leaves it to her teammate, Daniel Turk. So Turk has a vert this time. Looked like the D-line came out in a horizontal, but the O-line seems to be coming out in a vert to try and change things up. First it goes down the line. That's a great catch. Under pressure. She's looking for an option. Good patience. The space to go back and forth there between Turk and Forster. And it's another good hold for Disconnection. Really use the space on the open side very, very well. First, I had to be patient. I had to wait for an option there. Must have been relatively high in stall. Temptation there is to try and put something a little sketchier out on the break side, because you know that you can hear the stall count rising. It's getting tighter and tighter. But she stayed with it, gave Turk time. He got open there right in front of her, and they were able to just walk it down the open sideline for a score and a 3-2 lead. We have all the mixed quarterfinals going on at the same time. Still early in all those games, obviously. But at the moment, we are 2-2 between Tartu Turbulence and Nulat, and 2-2 between the two French teams, Sescadistas and Manchot, whereas Deep Space lead Reading 2-1. Deep Space look to have just gotten a break there. 3-2 here, so a little further along than in the others, and the pull comes up from Disconnection, and Lemmings will start another offensive point. Caught by Daly, forward to Wilson. Another zone point from Disconnection. Edwards kind of staring that option down in the middle of the field, but not taking it. Instead, holding onto it. Holding onto it for quite a while now, and that is a tough throw over the top. Andrews caught it, though. Wilson with this now. Wilson, unclear it was to Andrews or Daly. It was fired through for somebody, and it definitely hit Andrews in both hands. He apologized. And now that Disconnection D-line has space and time. No one pressuring the disc there, really. Right on the sideline now. It's back to Haas. Haas with the disc. Down the line. Oh, and trying too much to concentrate on his feet rather than looking at the disc the whole way. Kitchen is not able to bring that one in. That would have been another massive moment for Disconnection if they could have gone up 2 breaks so early, but Kitchen not quite able to wrap his hands around that one. And Lemmings have another chance to play against this zone, which seems to be slowing them down quite considerably here. Davis over to the far side. So not many options here. Instead, it goes over the top. Lovely find. Andrews, who goes deep. And we'll see how the players react here. I would assume then that that is a D, because the players are not running off the field. They are looking to find matchups. It's a deep shot. Looking for Terrell, but Disconnection have that disc. A deep shot comes up from Disconnection instead. Wilson's in the vicinity, though, and is able to catch that with 2 hands. Not enough on that one. Andrews with the disc again. Edwards goes deep this time, and Andrews decides discretion the better part of valor, and instead goes back to Wilson, who left that quite late, and a D got very close. Wilson across again to Andrews. Andrews has a couple of options, but doesn't want to take on another one of those aggressive deep options after the last one did not come off. Nice inside shot to Davis, though. Davis looking for something now. Lemmings resets, struggling to get open, but Davis finds a great shot across the field to Daly in that far corner. Disconnection so far doing an extremely good job of making it really difficult and uncomfortable for Lemmings to find any space in the handling reset area. Either playing a zone that's really slowing them down and limiting the space around the handlers, or just locking people up person to person and making it horrible to reset. We saw a couple of times Wilson trying some stuff to get free. We saw Andrews trying some stuff to get free. Couldn't quite do it. In the end, Davis able to find Daly. Probably a 6 or 7 on the stall count throw, that one. Wouldn't have been hugely comfortable, but it was a great spot. Good execution of a tough throw. And a much-needed hold for Lemmings. There was definitely a point there where it looked as though it was going to be 4-2, but we are back to 3-3, and still only one break in it. So the Elite Invite is the first run out this season for Disconnection. And the same for Lemmings. Neither team has any points so far in the new ranking system for the EUF. So they'll both be looking to do everything they can to have a good start for the season here. As we're back to this vertical setup for Disconnection. And you can hear Lemmings counting the passes on the sideline, which would suggest there's going to be some kind of defensive switch coming here as Turk centers it. And it's with Nova. Back to Turk. Turk eventually down the line. Fairly easy score in the end. The receiver able to take advantage of the fact that their mark was behind her, and Hambrecht just hit that front corner and had time and space to catch the goal. So we see a Disconnection player on crutches there. Hopefully nothing too bad for Hasubek there. Unclear when that's happened. One of their young players. So Lemmings back out on offense, looking to keep this gap as narrow as they can. It's 4-3 to Disconnection. They are one break up. Fairly similar looking O-line for the team from the Midlands. Another female matching point, but Wilson, Katma and Davis all out there again. Pull comes up. Shorter one this time. Daly will pick up. Again, a split stack. And the big throw goes up. That looks to be too far for Evie Harms. She had the space. It was a solid option, I think. Just needed a little less on it for Harms to catch up, or a little more air underneath it so she could catch up to it as it was falling. But Lemmings, another turnover. We'll have to get this disc back yet again. So Disconnection brings to the front. They're back to a vertical setup on the D-line as well now. Kind of abandoned that horizontal structure altogether. And that is just a drop. Looks like it maybe hung up in the wind slightly. But hit her in both hands, and it'll be disappointing to drop that one. So Lemmings now in a dominator set. You can see 3 people isolated in the space there. Edwards moving around, and that's just a miscommunication on a reset. Going around rather than up the line as Davis was heading. And there is a deep shot there if they want it. No one decided to go with it. And that read doesn't quite work. Edwards with the bid, but didn't really end up being close to the disc. But Lemmings not quite clicking at the moment. So a reset miscommunication. Some of their plays are not quite working, drifting too far. Just looks a little messy at the moment for the British team, whereas Disconnection's offense looking far smoother. It'll be Wilson to pick it up. Wilson doesn't like that cut from Katma, but does go to it the second time of asking. Harm's gone deep again. Katma's trying it this time. Looks like it's going to be drifting back in. And Harms able to box out the defender and bring it down. Great body control from Harms there. And a good throw on a pretty tough angle from Kapma. Straight down the sideline. Very little room for error there. But it goes all the way down the other side of the field. And an important hold for Lemmings. At the moment, they're really holding on by their fingertips. Disconnection looking good, both offensively and defensively. They've got shots pretty much every time. They've got the disc back, and they've had a chance at it on pretty much every point. Lemmings going to need to figure that out and give themselves an opportunity to just keep hold of the disc and get some quick points going. It's 4-4. Kapma and Harms linking up for second time in this game. And the Disconnection O-line back out on the field. So the pull comes up from Lemmings. Fairly short again, but Forster will field. And a good pull chase from Lemmings there, right on it as soon as she picks it up. 2-5 set up again from the Germans. Nice quick disc movement. Back with Turk in the middle now. He goes across the field to Nistroy. Great throw. Slowing down a little here for Disconnection. They have been moving it nice and quickly on every point up to this stage, but Turk is finding space wherever he wants it, basically. He's able to jink away from his marks and get open every single time. It's with Nova now. Great little catch there. Looked a little far away from Weigel, but she manages to extend out that right hand and snatch it. Good throw. Oh, but it's knocked away by the defender. Can't quite tell who that is from this distance, but it's an excellent block by Lemmings. And that is the first chance they've had on D, I think it might be. And Disconnection responding with this zone again. 3-person cup. Lemmings look a little unsure of how to deal with it. And that hammer is not the way. As the Disconnection player falls to the ground, fielding it. Little drifty, gave the defender a chance to get back at it, but Turk with the disc. And Turk easy into the front of the end zone. That block gave Lemmings a chance, but the zone immediately threw that D-line offense off. They were not sure how to handle it, didn't know where to go from there. And Disconnection eventually get in that hold, but that is the first time they haven't had a clean hold. Daniel Turk been key part of this O-line so far. He's thrown the last 2 assists and received a pass from Forster. That's encouraging for Lemmings. Up to this stage, it looked as though they were the team that was struggling to kind of handle the offense of Disconnection and were struggling themselves to execute, but they've got a handle on that offense a little bit now. They've shown that they can do it. They've shown they can get blocks. They'll be trying to get more of them to reduce their deficit here. So 5-4 to Disconnection, who are a breakup. A lot of parity elsewhere. Tartu Turbulence and Nulat at 3s. Skeskadistas and Mancho at 4s. Deep Space and Reading 3-2 to the Londoners to Deep Space. But Reading out on offense at the moment. So that game seemingly moving slower than the others. We're back to this zone from Disconnection that has really slowed Lemmings down. But Lemmings finding space within the cup here. And then through the cup to Andrews, now in the middle of the field. It's a bit static now, though. They've got to come all the way back to Daly. And Daly isn't able to get off the line. It's a nice throw through the cup to Wong. Wong has an option over the top, chooses not to take it, and is really, must be getting tight now. And we're in match, and that looked like that was a hook that was knocked down to the ground. Another short space hook from Lemmings going straight down the line. And Disconnection have another opportunity to take a break. Lovely breakthrough there. Disconnection static on the sideline now, but come all the way across the field. Disc in the hands of Kuhn. Kitchen looking for an option. Can't see an easy one. Goes to Haas. And Haas goes around for another break. Disconnection really taking charge of this one. That is 6-4 to them. Haas to Young. And they push their lead further. Haas and Young, two of the elder statesmen of this team. Both played Germany several times before. Haas 36, Young 37, but both still playing at an extremely high level in the mixed division here. And that looks to be a timeout, I think, from Disconnection. Not 100% clear. But what is clear, it's a timeout. I'm going to go and refill my water, and I'll be back with you once these two teams are ready to take the field again. Hello, we are back underway here, it looks like. The Disconnection will be pulling. Germans leading 6 points to 4. And they pull to Lemmings, who are struggling a bit to get any offensive momentum going. But that pull is going to give them an opportunity, as it just goes a little too far and drifts out the back of the end zone. So, Lemmings with this. A fairly familiar looking O-line here for Lemmings. Back to a horizontal for the team from the UK. Davis looking for an option. Comes down field. It's Katma now. It's a nice reset throw from Katma using that lefty to good effect. Wilson goes up the line, nearly collides with the defensive player. You can see there's very little space to be working in for these Lemmings resets. Disconnection doing an excellent job of making it incredibly difficult. I think Wilson's going to be resetting here. Is it a pit call? Looks like a pit call. So we're back in. About halfway. Lemmings starting in a horizontal, but now we've got kind of one kind of all on her own here. But she finds Katma. Well, here's Katma. She finds Davis. And Davis goes back to Katma. That's a fantastic layout catch. Oh, wasn't able to hold possession all the way through the ground. But Amelia Edwards, a great layout attempt to try and reel that one in. But again, offensively, Lemmings are really struggling to keep that momentum going. Once the disc starts moving, it looks like it just gets stuck every time. And the Disconnection D-line with an opportunity to further extend their lead. And a little switch there leaves a wide open player, and that disc goes deep. Is it going to sit up enough? It will, and that is a goal. That is another goal for Disconnection. Well read, well reeled in by Visser. And that is a 7-4 lead. A throw from Terzi. Terzi took advantage of Terrell trying to take that open underneath, try and get in the way. The disc went around the mark anyway. Terzi had plenty of time to try and find Visser, who had a good read on it in the end zone and managed to get there ahead of his defender. That is a 7-4 lead now for Disconnection. 3 in a row. They now have 3 breaks in the first half. And they are fully in the ascendancy here. Their offense is looking so much slicker and more comfortable than Lemmings. And Lemmings seemingly now putting out a D-line to try and get back on track. So Disconnection going to restart this point, and the pull goes up. Definitely a D-line for Lemmings. And the disc is centered to Sanders. We see this zone again, but the zone is not able to reform and stop the run down that sideline. You can see that the Lemmings have got so much space there, and Disconnection staying in the zone, inside their own brick mark. And they've crumbled out of it now. They're into a match. Bailey gives and goes, gets it just outside the end zone, driving the point forward, finds the open player at the front corner, and very, very well-timed hold for Lemmings. They really needed that. Ollie May open on the front corner. If there was another break there, that would have been half, and it would have been a really tough end to the first half for Lemmings. So they get back on the board. It is 7-5, but they are still 3 breaks down. If Disconnection take half here, they will be starting the second half on offense, looking to extend that lead further. So Disconnection guarantees to have at least 2 offensive points in a row. If Lemmings stage something to come back, it might be more than that. We'll see. But so far, the Disconnection O-line has been firing on all cylinders. We've seen them play a horizontal that worked pretty well. They got slowed down a couple of times, but they've moved to a horizontal, moved to a vertical, and have been moving the disc very, very swiftly. Roller pull in the hands of Förster. We're in this vertical setup. Good cut from the back. Nice big shape open. Back with Turk. Forster has loads of space on this near side as well. Gets it back in the middle. Turk is active in that reset area, just in case needed. Forster again open. And just a throwaway from Disconnection. Unforced, really. Maybe a miscommunication on the angle of the cut between the thrower and the receiver. But again, Disconnection had a lot of space there. Lemmings really struggling to shut down the options that they're looking for, particularly in the handler space. It seems like Turk and Förster are basically open wherever and whenever they want to be. Disconnection back to this zone. We saw the O-line throw this last time, the only other time they've turned. And it was a first pass turnover, but Lemmings dealing with it a little better this time. It's Peach. to Atwell. Two of them just working it comfortably, taking the throws that the zone's giving them. Atwell with the disc. Not making any significant gains here. Just keeping the disc moving, resetting the stall count. And finally, it gets broken through the cup. Haynes to Atwell. There's Peach again. As Bailey on the far side. Bailey reads it. This is a big opportunity for Lemmings. But Bailey stays calm. Just pops it back into that cup. Disconnection again, staying in that zone, close to the end zone. They're breaking a lot later than you usually see teams do. And that's a nice find for Bailey. Looks like to Haynes. 2 assists in a row for Bailey. And that is a break back for Lemmings. Their first of the game. And that gets it back to 7-6. So Disconnection only 2 breaks ahead now. And it's the first time that German offense has looked troubled defensively. But as I said a moment ago, only the second time they've given it up, and the first time they gave it up, it was the first pass turnover. So I suppose the first time they've really been tested, the defense of the O-line. And Lemmings, while it was slow going for a while there, moving it through the cup, it didn't look too difficult for them. They looked pretty comfortable, pretty assured. You would think as Disconnection, you might want to make an adjustment to try and take away those throws, although as soon as you take away those small throws just in front of the disc, you move someone of the zone forward to try and take those away, you're going to leave a gap behind you somewhere else for Lemmings to exploit. So something to think about for Disconnection's O-line as that pull comes in and it's left. And it just about slid out, although there seems to be some discussion about whether it slid out. It did slide out, which means they take it at the front of the end zone. That was a risky move to let that pull land. Only just slid out. And now Disconnection in their own end zone. First with the disc. And the Lemmings D-line all of a sudden has the impetus. Turk has to take a very tough inside shot and can't quite execute it. And now this is a short field opportunity for Lemmings. Can they pull this back to 7-7? They'd still be a breakdown, but it would be a much tighter game. Goes all the way across the field, but not sitting up for Bailey, I think, to run on and catch that. And there's a switch. Sanders looks for it, but doesn't quite come off. Bailey on first there. First looking for an option. Gets an undercut. It's a very little space and goes for the around, and Turk can't quite get his hand on that. And Lemmings go immediately. Sanders with the blade, he throws the end zone, and it's reeled in. Nice footwork in the end zone there to execute that one. Atwell just about dragging his toe. Is it Atwell? Well, the receiver just about dragging his toe to keep that one in. That is not an easy catch. And we go to Galaxy Point. Well, Lemmings struggling enormously down 7-4. Looked like they were seeing this game kind of drift away from them. But now we are back at level pegging. And Disconnection, the ones taking a timeout. So they can collect themselves before trying to get this offensive point in to take half. Just as with last time, I'm going to take a quick break while the two teams are talking over this Galaxy Point. And I'll be back to bring you the action very, very shortly. Welcome back to Leuven. I suppose you might never have gone away. It was me who took a break, but welcome back to Leuven, the Elite Invite. Top 8 mixed teams in Europe, according to last season's standings. This is a quarter-final between Disconnection from Freiburg in Germany and Leamington Lemmings from Leamington in the Midlands in the UK. And from 7-4 down, Lemmings have brought this back to 7-7. So we are on a galaxy point between these two teams. Looks like it is a male matching point. Disconnection have had 3 chances already to take off and haven't been able to do so. First on D, and now they've had 2 offensive opportunities, both broken, and that is a turnover. So the Lemmings D line has a chance to break back and put this game back on serve for the first time since 1-1. Atwell with an inside break. Haynes manages to corral that one. Finds the reset. That looks to be Katma coming over from the O-line to the D-line for this important point. And Atwell seemingly takes a timeout there. I suppose it's 2 timeouts per team per half. Atwell will be hoping if he doesn't take it here, that Lemmings just lose it. He seems to be going over to talk to Sanders to discuss the plan. I don't mind the call. It's a little unusual, I would say. The disc was moving decently, and I think now this gives Disconnection a chance to set up wherever they want. I would usually be opposed in these circumstances to calling a timeout. We'll see how it works out for Lemmings. There's been some discussion in recent years about the best ways to use timeouts. Generally, I would favor the between points, allowing your team time to recover or call a power line or something like that. Or if you're in a coffin corner situation, you are right on your own end zone cone and you're on 5 or 6 with very little in front of you, call a timeout to try at least set up a play in front of you. Lemmings here opting to call a timeout to set up an end zone structure, which looks like Haynes at the front of the end zone, everyone else behind, play a kind of dominator with Atwell on the disc and Peach behind. But this just gives Disconnection the opportunity to kind of put people in the optimum positions to try and stymie that. So, as we see, force, and then we have a poach right in front of it, and Haynes clears the lane. But there we go, what do I know? Because Lemmings anticipated that, ran a play, executed it, and now we are back on serve. 4 in a row for Lemmings. 7-4 down to take off 8-7. Atwell to May. It was May's goal that started that little run. And now it is half-time. And we're back on serve, which 15 minutes ago did not look likely at all. I would assume because of the 2 timeouts at that point, the teams are going to take a pretty quick half-time. So again, there's probably no need for me to have a break here. Bring you the scores elsewhere. Lots of tight games all around the venue. Nulak to take off 8-6 over Tartu Turbulence. The Germans just going ahead of the Estonian team with a 3-point run in the middle of the first half. In the all-French matchup, Seskidistas and Manchot. That's 8-7 to Seski. Looks like 1 break apiece. Manchot taking an early break to go ahead. But Seski pegging back the Penguins to go ahead 7-6 and then trading out for half. While Deep Space are 7-5 up on Reading. Real game of runs there. Deep Space got an early break. And then another with an early break for 2-1, another for 4-2. Then Reading scored 3 points in a row to go 5-4 up, and then 3 points in a row from Deep Space to go 7-5 up. came in response. So not quite half there, but half in the other 3 games in the mixed division. Very tight division. It did look as though one pool was maybe slightly tougher than the other. Pool A looked to be very challenging. Pool B, a lot of parity, but maybe not quite the same top end to that one. But the quarterfinals so far proving us wrong. Lemmings and Nulak both coming out of Pool B. The top 2 teams in Pool B, and they're both ahead. But Manchot trading all the way so far with Seski, who finished 2nd in Pool A. Team's taking a little longer than expected, but that's okay. We've already seen some upsets in the Open Division in the quarterfinals. Gentle defeating La Fotta 13-10 to go through to the semis. Chevron Action Flash defeating Wall City 15-13. Less of a surprise, I think. Chevron have been one of the best teams in Europe for a long time. And Wall City, while a very good team, I don't think quite on the level of La Fotta, or at least doesn't appear to be in the early part of the season. La Fotta have already got a Tom's win under their belts, so losing to Gentle without what most would argue there is their best player, Toby de Cranje, was a bit of an upset, but Mooncatchers came through an all-Belgian game against Jetset 13-11, and Clapham came through an all-UK game against Alba 15-9. No surprises in the women's quarterfinals. Jinx, Shout, Yaka, and Moon Cup make up the 4 semi-finalists there. Moon Cup defeating Iceni, and what is maybe the only one that's slight upset. And as I'm filling time, Lemmings take yet another turn and now have a chance to score another break to start the second half. Moving the disc quickly. It's a travel called. I think it's travel called on Orr. So the disc is back with him. He gets a breakout. Good throw. Options downfield. All quite tough. That inside shot is a very difficult one, but taken well. And that's Miros. Looking for something. It's animated, pointing around, looking for something to throw to, but that is not the option that he would have wanted there, and it is a turnover. A really good chance for Lemmings goes begging there. So Disconnection staring down the barrel of a 5-point run for Lemmings, but they have the disc back to try and put in this score. Deep shot goes up. Looks like the offensive player has a line on it. Great catch. Attacks it early. Defense scrambling to try and get in place. And the little button hook, but can't bring it in this time. One fantastic catch. It was all Kitchen had. It would have been an absolutely phenomenal layout catch. The disc definitely too far in front from Hambrecht. It was a lovely move in the end zone from Kitchen to find himself some space. But he can't replicate the impressive catch to bring in the score. So Lemmings will have another opportunity on the D-line to get this 5th point in a row. Looking for an option. Back to Miros. A deep shot goes up. That looks like it's going to be too far. It is going to be too far. A little more float on that one, and it would have been an option that could have been perfect. There was definitely space there. I think Ellis threw that one. And it back goes Forster to pick this up in her own end zone. And that is the thing with a deep shot like that. While it's obviously disappointing not to come off, Disconnection have now got to go the whole field again. And they've been struggling to do that over the last few points. So Forster with the disc. That stack kind of splits. There's only 2 people left in it now. Oh, and that's very nearly a block. But instead, the disc keeps moving. But it's moving much slower than it was earlier in the game. Nice break there. Firster again. Turk looking downfield. There's definitely somebody free there. Oh, what a catch. What a catch from Weigel. Kitchen now looks at the end zone. Goes back to Turk. Weigel again. Nova goes back to Turk. Turk looking for an option. Looks at that inside channel. And that is a good score for Disconnection. Finally, they're able to stop that roll from Lemmings. Kitchen with a slightly easier chance to catch that goal this time around, after nearly getting his hands on that incredible layout earlier in the point. And Disconnection bring it to 8-8, still on serve. Deep Space have taken half now on Reading. 4 points in a row for them to take half. Mirroring the team they played in the UK Nationals final last year. Lemmings, who took 4 in a row to take half here. Deep Space unbeaten at this tournament so far. Look to be playing very well. Looks to potentially be the team to beat. Certainly at the Elite Invite. We'll see for the rest of the season. So the Lemmings O-line has been sitting on the sideline watching their D-line get them back into this game. So they're going to come out and try and execute here. Katma with the disc now. There is a deep option, but turns that down. Instead takes that tough inside shot. It's a nice catch. And Edwards goes deep. Wilson looks like he has space. He has a good read on that disc. Is that simultaneous possession? If the defender's gone over the top and caught that first, it's an absolutely fantastic catch. It was an aggressive option from Edwards. Wilson had time and space, maybe drifted a little too much. Sat in the air for a little longer than she would have wanted. But he went up and caught it, and unless that defender's gone completely over the top of him, surely that must be Wilson's score. But they are talking. I say surely it must be Wilson's score. Clearly I do not have the best angle here. I'm looking at the same camera as you, and we are not on the sideline where some of those players are, but they do call it a goal. They do call it a goal. That seemed the most likely outcome to me, but very good spirit from both teams discussing it and coming to a resolution. Edwards with that aggressive shot does come off, and that is probably the cleanest and quickest hold that Lemmings have had in this game, I think. So really, the table's turning. Early in the first half, Lemmings' O-line looked like it was stuck in the mud a little bit, struggling to get things moving, whereas Disconnection was just running through them, seemingly with ease. Very different story now. This is Haas, it looks like, who couldn't quite reach over the top, snatch that one away from Wilson. So the Lemmings D-line back out, having finished the first half strongly. Lemmings back up 9-8. This game going along at a pretty decent pace. 17 points in, only 53 minutes gone. Good pull. Disconnection right in their own end zone. And Turk with disc. Firster at the front of the stack. Looks like they're looking for someone at the back. Nice footwork to get open. Back with Turk. It's moving a bit more freely for the Germans now. Really nice offense from Disconnection. And Turk has Förster open at the front corner. And that is an easy hold back to what Disconnection looked like early in the game. Moving it through the hands nicely. Not sticking with any one player for too long. Finding space. Attacking it aggressively downfield. Rewarded with a good, easy score from Turk to Förster. So we're back to trading. We went through a period of this in the first half. That ended when Disconnection went on a run of 3 points, and then Lemmings responded with 4 of their own. So we've seen it all so far. We see Haas, I think, is really stretching out his shoulder after that play on the last point. He came off the field, working it around. He's still doing it now. But Disconnection plotting to try and get back ahead in this game. They are trading down at the moment. 9-9, but Lemmings coming out on offense. Pull fielded by Lemmings. It's with Edwards. Got that huck for the point in the last offensive point for Lemmings. It's Davis, who goes to the far side of the field. To Andrews. He's looking downfield. Doesn't have many options. Wilson's gone. Great layout catch from Daly. Second opportunity. Wilson comes all the way back for the reset. And there's Davis, who has loads of time and space there. Turns down a throw to Harms. Terrell cuts into that space instead. Wilson, and then it's a lovely little cut from Edwards at the front of the end zone. Shakes her marker pretty comfortably, and a good hold from Lemmings. Only one moment of peril there, but Daly was able to ensure that peril was extinguished with a great layout catch. Sat up quite nicely just out in front of her. One of the kinder layout catches where you can just kind of keep your momentum going forward and lay out and get all your weight landing on your chest and stomach. Still doing it and holding onto the catch. Very good work from the Lemmings offensive handler. So, Lemmings again, out on D. They are still up. It is 10-9 to the team from Leamington. It's 11-9 to Seskadistas against Manchot. And Tartu and Nulakt are now at 9-9. So 3 close games here. Deep Space Reading still in the just coming out of the first half now. They must be coming out of their halftime break. It's still only 8-5 there. Good 6 points behind everyone else. As the pull comes up, and it's with Förster and now Turk, and that there's a poach on a female matching player somewhere for Lemmings. Looks like they're playing some kind of zone. Is it a zone or is it a poachy set? No, it's definitely a zone. Miras is moving with the disc. But now they're in a match, but there's a lot of open players all over the place. I'm not 100% sure what the thinking is from Lemmings here. Disconnection have not really identified the space very well because there's definitely people that they can be hitting. That's not really one of the people they'd be hitting, although you would argue, given her catch a few points ago, that Weigel is a perfectly viable option in those areas. But that's a tough throw, a tough catch with the defender right there. And Carmel Ellis, also pretty tall. So the Lemmings D-line, after getting that disc off Disconnection, are going to have an opportunity here. Good cut in from Sanders. Sanders looks deep. Usually expect that to go. Does not need any invitation to be sending deep shots, Nate Sanders. Usually very accurate with them and had several people going. And as I say that, sends one deep. That one looks to be contested. But Lemmings come down with it. We didn't see the catch itself. We saw the shot. Saw the call from me saying he doesn't need any invitation. And he rips it deep. And that is another break for Lemmings. Some discussion after the point there. Not 100% sure what that was. Whatever it was a break for Lemmings. And they are now further in front. Sanders to Atwell. And after being 7-4 down, it's been a 7-2 run for Lemmings to lead 11-9. 11-9 to Lemmings. Still 20 minutes of this game left, though. Plenty of time for Disconnection to get back into it. We've seen them do it already. We've seen them get several breaks. They were 3 breaks up in the first half at 7-4. It's been all Lemmings since then, though. Again, we see a pretty similar O-line for Disconnection. They're sticking with that group. Turk and Förster in particular as the key handlers. As the pull comes up. Pretty good pull. It's with Turk. Good reset mark there by Lemmings. Again, there's some female matching poaching going on from Lemmings. Lemmings now in match. Bailey, who's been sitting in that underneath space, comes to her mark. Again, not moving it hugely quickly here, Disconnection. Hambrecht finds Kitchen. Kitchen looking for an option. Gets it to Turk. Turk fakes that little throw. Förster has time to catch it, but she's not in. Looking back at Turk. Good defense by Peach. Förster across the end zone. Think that's Hambrecht. Can't quite get there. And Lemmings with another opportunity. Great end zone D, forcing Disconnection to reset several times. They attack the break side. Not quite enough on it for Förster to milk it into the end zone. And now Cubitt picks it up on his own end zone line. Inside. Peach goes deep. He has Bailey. But that disc is going to be dives in front of her. And it's now in the hands of Förster. You can hear the wind still a little bit. It must be coming from right to left because that disc definitely held up in the wind slightly. Förster. Nice inside shot to Kitchen. Middle of the field now. Back to Turk. It's not moving that quickly again. Kitchen looking for something. Cubitt playing physical D. The around goes. Lemmings happy to let that one go, seemingly. And it's a great D. Looks like Ellis coming all the way across the field. Reads that one as soon as it came out of the hand of the thrower. Looks like it's Stett. And Ellis gets another block. And Lemmings have another opportunity here. Haynes looking for something. That disc is going up. Peach has time and space. No one anywhere near him. And that is another break for Lemmings. They are rolling here. Cubitt finds Peach. It is an 8-2 run since they went 7-4 down. It looked, for all the world, like they were struggling mentally. They were struggling offensively. They couldn't quite get anything going. Their connections didn't look like they were there. Just nothing working for Lemmings. Since then, 8-2 run, and they are absolutely flying. Disconnection take another timeout. They really have to go back to the drawing board here and start figuring some stuff out pretty quickly because this game is really getting away from them. 12-9 to Leamington Lemmings. in the quarterfinal of the Elite Invite. I'll take a quick break. Clearly, I need to have a drink. I'll be back with you very soon. So the two teams getting ready to restart. I gave you an update earlier. It was close all over the field. We now have 3 games, all at 12-9. Lemmings leading here, 12-9 over Disconnection. Sescadistas, 12-9 up on French compatriots Manchot. That game was 9-9, but 3 in a row for Seski. And Tartu against Nulact was also 9-9. And it's been 3 in a row for Nulact, the Germans. So 3 games, all at 12-9 at the moment. Nulact, Sescadistas, and Leamington Lemmings all on their way through to the semi-final as we stand. But all need 3 more points, and all are playing very good teams. We've certainly seen in this game that Disconnection are certainly capable of stringing a several-point run together, although Lemmings have been hugely in the ascendancy over the second half of what we've seen here. Was 7-4 at one point to Disconnection. Since then, it's been 8-2 to Lemmings for that 12-9 lead. Looks like that pull went a mile out of bounds. There's too much edge on that one. And Turk walking it to the brick mark. Gets the inside break to the front of stack, who's wide open. Disconnection moving with a bit of urgency here as we see a definite zoney look from Lemmings. Don't really care about the disc. That's their last priority. They're just trying to stop everything downfield. And that is just a throwaway from Disconnection. Too flat. Not at the receiver. Certainly Weigel not at fault there. Just hit someone on the sideline. All going a little wrong for Disconnection here. Lemmings back on the disc. Or gets it in field. There is a dump all the way back there. And it goes to Sanders, who threw the huck for the last break, but instead decides to holster that and go all the way back again. And that throws too far. Disconnection back with it. They look to push quickly. Turk turns down that throw to the far side. Looking for something. There is a deep option. Doesn't want that either. Oh, fits one in just at the front there. And that one has bounced, but it's a nice catch. The D goes in. Does the D got there in time? Looks like it, although there is a call. I think that's Sanders leaving his feet for the block against Niestro. And they're just checking the disc, but it does look like it's a turnover. But Sanders laid out and caught that, so it's going to be a Lemmings disc. Oh, he didn't catch it. It's on the ground. But it will be, from the look of it, a Lemmings disc. Oh, I apologize. They're changing the disc. They're changing the disc. The disc wasn't fine. So it will be a Lemmings disc. Coming in without a stall. And here we go. Lemmings looking to make this one count. There's travel called. There's a travel call back there. I'm not really sure where the travel's called. That looked to me as though the disc was moving pretty quickly. You don't have to slow down is the new rule if you're taking fewer than 3 steps, and I did not see more than 3 steps at any point there. You can see here the discussion is the dragging, but the dragging does not really matter if it's fewer than 3 steps. You can probably hear in my voice I don't really like that call, but whatever. So Lemmings with the disc in the middle of the field here. Looking for a reset option. Pop it out in front. I think it's Davis with the disc. Back to Orr. Takes a deep shot. That looks to be too far, surely. Yeah, it's just too far. Again, taking those deep shots into very, very small areas, trying to put a little bit of edge on the disc to sit it out in front of the receiver, but it just means that the margin for error is basically non-existent. If you don't get it exactly right, there's just no way to catch up to it. So Disconnection with another opportunity here. Turk back into his own end zone. That is Firster, I think. And now Kitchen really slowed down by this poachy female matching player look. It almost looks like an FSU with just softer handler marks. Another deep shot turned down. The female matching player is just completely giving Disconnection all the space in the world. Not even bothering to mark Firster here. She has a wide open Bankovitz in front of her, and then back to Firster. Slightly tighter now. Firster doesn't have as much space here. Kitchen with the disc. Into Niestro, and then back to Turk. Back to Kitchen. Scuba, for some reason. Hambrecht. Disconnection moving the disc, but not making yards here. Visser with a little bouncy backhand gets it to Firster, who gets it back in the middle again. This field matching players of Lemmings really just taking threats rather than being tight. Letting the Disconnection field matching players kind of run wherever they want, but if they're not in a dangerous position, they're just not going to bother with marking them. Nice reset. Disc in the hands of Turk, who goes around, and he finds Kitchen despite the bid. Calm offensive point from Disconnection. Lemmings asking them a lot of questions. They really had to think about how to deal with it, how to execute through it. But a familiar pairing, Turk to Kitchen. Those are the two highest scoring players for Disconnection in this game. Turk with 5 assists and a goal, and Kitchen with 3 goals. And that is going to put Lemmings O-line back out. Took a long time, that point. We had a timeout, a couple of turnovers, zone point where Disconnection were working it quite slowly. Only 7 minutes left in the game now. And it's 12-10 to Leamington Lemmings. Tartu Turbulent to come back in that game. That's now 12-11 against Nulacht. So a real seesaw of momentum there. 2 in a row for Tartu, 3 in a row for Nulacht, 2 in a row for Tartu. It's 12-11. Seski and Mancho, meanwhile, still shown as 12-9. As is Deep Space Reading, which I struggle to believe, given that they scored to take off at 49 minutes, which is about 25 minutes ago. So unless they are playing a 25-minute point, which would be incredibly unusual at a tournament of this quality, that score has not been updated for a little while. But we are with this game, and it looks like that pull has rolled out. Yeah. Lemmings taking it from the front here. Wilson walking it up to the end zone line. Back to Terrell. Cat McCliss space in front of the disc. It comes to Andrews. Catmull with a nice footwork to get open there. But instead, Andrews tries to go to Edwards, but that throw came out all wrong. Never looked likely. Looked like it was quite a late stall count throw and just not executed well enough. And now it's Disconnection's D-line with an opportunity to stretch into Lemmings' lead, but that is another drop from Disconnection. They could ill afford errors like that given the game situation. It's a tough one for Lindenthal. Wilson with a disc. Edwards with a nice little stop and go to get open. And Katma faked one way then the other and went anyway. Thankfully, looks like Wong behind him to back that up. Andrews with the disc now just outside the end zone, and he's going to call foul. There was definitely a couple of bites at the apple there by the Disconnection player. A couple of fouls in one. He definitely leaned in to try and swat it away, Terzi. And then when he didn't get it, leant in to try and swat it away again. Andrews, you could see a little frustration on the foul call. So he's looking now for an option. Doesn't have an easy one. Goes to the end zone and pulled down. That is Katma, I believe. That was, without a doubt, a late stall. I'm not sure what to do here. I'm going to throw it into the end zone. And Andrews is bailed out by Katma. Pulling it down. 13-10 now to Lemmings. Just over 3 minutes left in this game. So Lemmings in a good position here. But Disconnection have showed they got the disc back off that O-line, and but for the drop, would have been in a really good position. We've seen before, once they get rolling a bit, they can definitely execute well enough. They have the players to do it. Lemmings' adjustment to be very saggy, very poachy with the female matching players, trying to take away throwing lanes rather than take away players, has really slowed Disconnection down. They must have identified that Disconnection were largely, other than Förster, running through their male matching players and just using their own female matching players to slow down the game and make it as difficult as possible to move the disc. We see it again right here. Not really that close to Förster. Oh, close there to a block. Again, Mira's kind of ignoring. It's Bailey, sorry, kind of ignoring Förster. Letting her go. But Förster identifies the space and finds it. She's on the disc now. Back into the center of the field. Over to Turk, who has an open player. Is that too far? That's too far. Just out of the back. Turk with his hand on his head. Adjusts his hat in frustration. I think that's Weigel. Had a lot of space to work in there. But Turk just too much on the throw. This kind of mental load for these O-line players really increasing. They've had to play a lot of points here. The O-line players for Disconnection. It's been 5 breaks for Lemmings in the last few points. That's Atwell on the disc. Inside break to Haynes. Haynes turns down the up the line throw. Looks back at Atwell and comes back to him. Nice left-handed catch. He wants that deep shot. Or is it a bluff? Might be a bluff. With Bruin. Back to Atwell. Atwell. Over to Peach. Peach looking for a reset. He's got Bruin, who calmly collects and goes across the field. Loads of time over here. But not many options there, but Haynes offers a reset to Morrill. Ellis with the disc. Atwell comes back. That's Bailey. Bailey, I thought she was going to go for that deep shot. Turns it down. Comes to Bruin, who does go for the deep shot. Layout catch. I think that's Moral. I thought she might be in, but instead she's looking for a reset. Comes back to Atwell. Atwell's looking for something. Lefty throw. Just need to be consistent and put that in there for Lemmings. That is risky. His momentum's all going to his left. He tries to come back to his right to get that offhand inside throw going. Rush of blood to the head, I think. And it looks as though Moral taking a substitution after that layout catch. Disconnection. Not taking a sub. And we're back in with Disconnection's O-line on their own end zone line. Nice break there. It's Turk. Throws across the field. Again, Lemmings leaving these field of action players open. Reset comes back here. Gader goes across the field. Stetter, sorry. Förster now. Förster goes to Weigel. Weigel to Bankwitz. All the way over to Weigel again. Lemmings now have tightened up, although right at the back there, Bankwitz is wide open. Would be a tough throw. Instead, she comes back for the reset, and it does go back to her. Oh, that's a block. Is there a call, or is it just a timeout? It looks as though there is no call, and it is a timeout. Bruin able to sneak in front of Förster and Stetter. After getting open on that reset, the female matching players have had such a mentally taxing few points for Disconnection. They've had to work out where the space is, where their defenders are, what they can do to get open. They've had to touch the disc a lot more than they were earlier in the game, which is exactly what Lemmings are going to be doing with this D. And Stetter with just a mental error there, throwing it to Förster with Bruin too close in the vicinity. And now the Lemmings D-line has another opportunity to go and put this point in. And with the time where it is, we're going to be getting very close to, if they put this one in, it will be a game 2-15. Just a quick look around the other fields. Seskadistas 14-10 up on Manchot. So they are a point away from victory. Nulak 13-12 up on Tartu. And it looks as though time has gone there. So it is a game to 14 between Nulak and Tartu. Tartu with 3 breaks in a row to bring back to 12-12 before a Nulak hold sends it to 13-12. So Tartu really battling there. Got all the way back into it. Still not update on the Deep Space Reading game. As Lemmings set up, looking to extend their lead to 14-10. It'll be Bruin on the disc. In a side stack setup, you can see Atwell behind him to his left as the reset. You can see Pantling and Haynes out in the space, and the other 3 players all stacked up on the far side to give Pantling and Haynes as much space as they want. And Haynes goes deep immediately. Pantling comes under. Pantling with a disc. Goes back to Bruin. Nice poach by Förster to stop that pass, but instead Ellis gets the disc. Ellis downfield. Comes back in here to Ellis. And that's Pantling with the disc, and that is a wide open player for the score. Not sure what happened defensively for Disconnection there, because Bruin was in acres of space in the end zone. Pantling finds him. That is 14-10 to Lemmings, and it is a game to 15. So Lemmings D-line which has pulled them back into this game with a plum. 7-4 down early in the form, kind of late in the first half. Disconnection needed one more point to take half. Instead, Lemmings rolled out with 4 breaks in a row. Well, 4 goals in a row. A hold and then 3 breaks. To take half 8-7. And they have not let up in the second half. (6-3) in the second half. But that run, since it was 7-4, is now at 10-3. 10-3. An amazing spell there for Lemmings to take this game right to the doorstep of victory for them and a place in the semi-final. Mancho pulled one back against Seski, so it's 14-11 there. The body language of Disconnection players, certainly not what it was earlier in the game. You can see the energy on the sideline has really dipped for them, whereas you've been able to hear the Lemmings players on the sideline for the last few points, encouraging their teammates, pushing them on. That looks like a pull that's going to be out of bounds. Disconnection going to brick that, or they are going to brick that, it looks like, rather than take it from the sideline. So Disconnection looking to stay in the game. Lemmings with 5 chances to win the game. Peach on Turk. Förster wide open behind to start with. And again, these female matching players finding space. But can they take advantage of it? Up to this point, they have not been able to. But they're moving it nicely here. Moving it through the hands. Finding open players. And then... is there a foul call there? I think Kitchen caught it. And Sanders kind of walked into it. I'm not really sure what the outcome would be here. This is surely just a stand-up. Sorry. Let's go again. There's no way that will be a turnover. It's like Sanders is a basketball player trying to draw a charge. So Kitchen with the disc. Goes backwards. Lemmings all tight here. And that throw goes around. Oh, big layout bid. I think that's Ellis. Did a great job trying to get there. Hopefully she's okay. There's an injury call, but I think the catch was made. It's a score, so the point is over. So there's no reason or no need for the injury call necessarily, but fingers crossed Ellis is okay there. That was a fantastic bid to try and get there. So the Lemmings O-line now knows what job they have to do. It is 14-11 to Lemmings. After that catch by Hambrecht in the end zone. The first point, I think, where it's looked like Disconnection knew what to do against that female poach. Just coming a little late for them. But this Lemmings O-line know now they just have to hold once in 4 tries. They have 4 tries to win this game. And they will be in the semi-finals. Tartu Turbulence and Nullat, that has gone to Universe Point at 13-13. Seskadistus have been broken again by Mancho. 14-12 there now. So getting a little nervous perhaps for Seski. So here we go with Lemmings. Davis to Wilson. Back to Davis. Who finds Edwards. Edwards has Catman deep, but elects not to take it. Davis up the line instead. That's a nice inside throw to Davis. And there's a call. Unclear to me what the call is. Looks like the district's going to stay where it is. Is that an injury? It is an injury. Catman goes off, and I believe that is May comes on. So there's no stall. Back with Davis, and we carry on. Nice break. Good disc movement here from Lemmings. Davis with the disc right outside the end zone. This is for the game. Looking for an option. Throws a hammer, which might not have been the best of options. And there looks like there's a pick because Wilson was very free. He had Harms cutting across the end zone. But pretty rogue option to try and finish this game. There's not even that much space on that side, really. So it's back with Davis. Doesn't go with the hammer this time. Goes to the inside break. So Wilson anyway. Wilson with a kick spike. Lemmings have won the game. They are in the semi-finals of the invite after a wonderful comeback. Great work by the D-line. They win this game 15-11. Commiserations to Disconnection, who started out the game fantastically well, but couldn't quite adjust after Lemmings threw some different stuff at them. They got broken several times to finish the first half, and then when Lemmings started poaching their field action players, they got a lot of joy out of it. So Lemmings move on. They move on to the semi-finals. Disconnection will play in the 5-8 bracket. We will bring you all of that action later on today and tomorrow. Stick around because we will have another game coming soon after this one. That's all for this game. My name is Sean Colfer, and I'll be back with you very soon for the next game in, I believe, the Women's Division.